know, Dada and Surrealism were art forms that happened after the chaos during and after the chaos of World War I, but they were movements that migrated to the West right away. And so to see this material back in the heart of Europe, and then to see as an adjacent exhibition Hungarian art that really is a kind of next chapter in the surrealist history, and which emerged from World War II and from the chaos and confusion of World War II, has a very resonant quality. It's quite stunning. Well, again, you know, this happens to be a period which is of particular interest to me. So when I see a work that I've not seen before that has a character which is new, it's also a revelation. It's a very, very striking work by Moholy-Nagy. And, you know, frankly, an exhibition like this is just packed with treasures. No, it's a funny thing, but in our own collection of modern art before World War II, our 1927 Miró Spanish Dancer just stands out as a very, very special painting. The fact that it sits firmly in the surrealist tradition is one major point, and that's why it's a centerpiece for this exhibition. But if you look at the whole history of the 20th century, or particularly the first half, from the beginning of the century to World War II, a painting like that is a bit of a watershed moment, because you really see how representation migrates and is going to continue to migrate. And this happens to be one of those high moments where it's migration away from representation to something else, in this case, firmly entrenched in the surrealist tradition, is really pretty good. Well, I can tell you two things. One, we spoke about Miró's Spanish Dancer, and it's just a very personal story for Miró, because with all of his thinking about how representation became abstraction through surrealism, he had a personal fascination with Spanish dancers. And, you know, if you watch the kind of evolution of his treatment of that subject, it started in a very representational way. It moved to a kind of collagist methodology, and then it moved to the kind of work that you see here, which really, in a way, breaks apart the visual definition of his subject, which was a favorite subject for him, and then just takes it into the canon of art history, and that's very exciting. So that's one kind of story, and another is just for the Izrael Museum. You know, why would the Izrael Museum in Jerusalem be one of the great Dada and Surrealist repositories in the world? And, you know, a lot of what Dada and Surrealism are about is the notion of chance, or the notion of chance encounters, serendipity. And we've been very lucky, and a man named Arturo Schwartz, who was not just one of the great collectors of Dada and Surrealist art, but one of the great early gallerists who made the work of these artists work that could have commercial value, came to be a great friend of the Izrael Museum. And when when Israel, the state of Israel, turned 50 in 1998, Arturo Schwartz decided that his entire holding, one of the great private holdings anywhere in the world, would be gifted to the museum in honor of Israel's 50th year. And that in itself is a kind of act of serendipity that could not have had greater meaning for us.